Hi there, Kenneth B, Blue Collar Guy. So, today I thought I would talk about something a little bit different that affects a lot of people doing YouTube videos, and that would be issues with sound. So, I'm a person that actually has a background in sound engineering, and if you've watched some of my videos, you can see that even I struggle with issues with sound. So, it's a problem that affects everybody, not just some of the people. So what I wanted to explain is what type of equipment that I have purchased to help me overcome this, and how much money that you realistically only need to spend. So um, you can get all different kinds of microphones and sound mixers and recorders, but I don't feel that you need to spend a whole lot of money if you're just making YouTube videos, or if you're have a small band and you just want to record it, or like you're a one-man band and you just want to record yourself. So I'm going to see if hopefully this video helps you, and if it does, hit like and subscribe. So I'm going to show you the first piece of equipment. This is the H1N audio recorder. Has built-in microphones. I also have the wind sock that kind of looks like a dead cat that goes on it for really windy days. It has a 1/4 inch hole in the back, and I've mounted it to a GoPro setup, which makes it easier for me to transfer this as opposed to keep threading it on. So the only thing I don't like about it is that it's made of a kind of a fragile plastic. But as far as audio quality goes, it's very good. It's excellent, actually. It even has a gain dial here that you can see if you get up close. There's a gain dial there. If you need to delete a file, it's very simple. The controls are on the back. Separate power input if you don't want to use the batteries. It does run on batteries. You can put rechargeable batteries, but it doesn't have a built-in battery. There's a line in if you want to use an external microphone, and it has a headphone. Oh, sorry, that's the line in. That's the line input, which is marked red, and green is the headphone out. So you could actually use this to record like live sound music. If you're recording music or sound in a car and you want to get better quality audio, this would be the device. Has a speaker for you to listen to what you've recorded, but the speaker, of course, is very tiny and not very good on that. I would recommend this as far as YouTube videos where you want to have something that gets more of if you want to get sound effects, you want to get more cars, like it's an excellent quality mic for that. And I use that in conjunction with the GoPro Max, of course. This has 6 microphones. So the GoPro Max has 6 microphones. 2 on the top, 2 there, and 2 there. So all waterproof. Yeah. So that comes in handy. I've noticed that the audio quality on the GoPro is much better than other action cameras. And if you watch any reviews on the GoPro, you will also see that the audio quality is not bad. So if you record with the H1N, which is the recorder I showed you, and you want to mix it down to a multi-track recorder, that's a recorder that has more than one track, then I would recommend the Tascam DP-006. This is a 4-track recorder. And why would you need this? What sorcery is this, right? So what this is if you had a band, let's say you had a band that consists of, you got a drummer, you've got a bass guitar player, you've got a lead guitar and vocals. Pretty common band setup. So you would put your drum track on one, You would put your lead guitar, your bass guitar, which would be next, then your lead guitar, and then your vocals. And you would do it in this way so you can control the levels of each entity of music. So, and so that you don't have to keep re-recording the entire song over and over again. So let's say the drummer plays and he gets it perfect the first time. Well, you've got it. And then you just play that through the headphones, through the recorder, the other one, to the next guy. And then the bass guitar, he keeps going at it until he gets his part right. And then so on and so forth. You've got your lead guitar. And that's why you isolate each one. And then when you mix it all together, it comes off as a very refined piece of production music. So I just use a 2-track. They call it a 4-track, but I call it a 2-track mixing board. This is, from overseas, and this is a little better quality one than some. It uses a separate adapter for power. You can hook up XLR microphones to it. It's got phantom power. It's got parametric EQ, and that just means the EQ is in a dial form. And it also has pretty good control over your equalizer settings. It also has built-in effects for reverb and things like that. So this is why these three components work rather good together. And this was probably about $130, I think. This here, well, $250, which is very reasonable for a 4-track recorder, which they call a 6-track. And this is, I believe, about $200. So, and a very good piece of mobile gear when you're going out in the field. So even though it's not that durable and it's not waterproof, it is still excellent quality as far as recording. So I used it when I went to a powwow, do some recording, and then I could bring it back to my homemade studio, and I could, manipulate the sound and manipulate a few things around until I got the artistic effect that I wanted. And I have a keyboard behind me, which is just a simple keyboard, and that's just for basic effects, things that, if I need something that I can't get out of anything else, like some types of sampling, or if you wanted to add a few things that are into the effects, that's all I have. It's got a built-in like a drum machine type of thing, which I can also use my own. I could make my own music with it, and this is just so that I don't have to try to look for copyright-free stuff. I can have my own, and all the creativity is mine own. So anyways, that's the gist of the audio. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. I have worked with Neumann microphones, Neve soundboards, Sony PCM 3348, 48-track machines. I worked with very expensive equipment over the years. And the one thing that any engineer will say is if it sounds good, it's good. I don't do sound professionally anymore. I'm hearing impaired, and it's unfortunately it would cause me problems in that area of expertise. But I still know the technical knowledge that I do, and I'm hoping that I can pass that on to you, and you can use it. So when buying a microphone, it's just, like I said, it's just whatever sounds good. Don't get too hung up on name brands. If you've got a lot of money to burn, and I am not knocking Neumann, they make excellent microphones, but you're going to be really paranoid every time you hook up a $4,000 microphone into a suspension setup, and you're worried that somebody might break it on you. So sometimes having expensive gear can be a detriment. Sometimes having gear that's just rugged, or if it does get broken, it's not the end of the world. That seems to be a little more important. And stuff that you can take out in the field if you need to. If you're doing that type of recording, you can get, there is a 24-track portable studio, which is like a bigger setup with this, with faders, the whole 9 yards. And if you have a band, a small band, I would recommend that. I think it's under $1,000, and that's enough to get you going, to make really, really good sound. It even has special effects that this one does not, built into it. So I've never played with that one, so I couldn't tell you what I think of it, but I've seen a few YouTube videos on it, and it looks like a pretty decent piece of kit for sure. So I would, Tascam, by the way, has been making 4-track recorders many, many years. Back when they were on cassettes, they used to put 4 tracks on cassettes, and people thought that was the, the next best thing to sliced bread, because they're like, hey, I got a 4-track recorder, wow, unheard of back then. So if you want to know how far um, uh, producing your own music has come, um, back in the 50s, when guys like Elvis had to do it, they would go into a studio and they didn't have any of this stuff. They basically just recorded right onto a record, or even before that, I think it was wax, but it was cut right then and there. So it went from, they had to do it all in one take and write the record, and then it went from the record to a radio station to see what the response was. If the response was good, it was a hit, and that's how you got famous back then. So um, nowadays, we don't you need to see an engineer or anything; they can do it themselves. So um, you know, but it's good to have an idea of what all this stuff does, what it means. And the thing about soundboards, especially the really big ones, is that you see all these buttons and dials on them. They look very confusing, but it's just a repeat of each of itself. Once you understand one signal flow, one line, the other ones are all the same. Uh, you'll hear terms like audio compression. Well, a compressor is just a way of, uh, pushing down something. That's why they call it a compressor to when you're doing voiceovers, for instance, for like a TV commercial, and you have music in the background. Well, you don't want the music to be at the same audio level as the person speaking, or you're not going to be able to understand what he's saying. So when he starts to speak, then the music, you want it to fade down. You want the levels, the volume level to drop. And that's all a compressor does, is it automatically drops the volume level when he stops. When he starts talking, and when he stops, it'll go back up again, and they can set the rate at which, the speed at which it goes down and up. And this is just so you don't have a person with a fader going like this trying to figure out, well, is he, when he's talking, because it's very hard to predict. And that's all what an audio compressor does. You'll hear speak about microphones, the difference between dynamic and condenser. You know, uh, the thing that I would like to discuss with you more than that would be omnidirectional versus cardioid, because you're going to hear that terminology too. And if you want to record sound from all directions, that's omnidirectional. If you want to if you want to record sound from a specific direction, that would be cardioid. If you want to record sound from a very more focused point, well, then that's supercardioid, and then hypercardioid, and things like that. You'll see microphones that are like really super long. They're like, they look like a giant rod, and those microphones are designed to pick out audio and ignore everything else from a very specific point. They're they're made that way so that you don't get background noise. You'll see them using them a lot at football games and things like that because they're trying to record people talking in a very noisy environment, and they don't want the background noise to overpower the person talking. So they always use those type of microphones. So if you wanted the simple explanation of what those are, that's what they are. And some of the Rode microphones that you'll see that people put on YouTube cameras and stuff, they're kind of that style. And you have to stand in the line of where the camera is pointing, because even if you stand off to the side or this way, you'll lose the microphone. It won't pick up your voice because it is that focused. And that's why a lot of video engineers use that style of microphone. So again, I hope this helps. You pick out your equipment. This is the equipment that I picked out. I would recommend it. Tascam also has smaller recorders too, but I really like the H1N, so I think that I would recommend that one instead. Anyways, take care. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It's free, and I'll talk to you later.